Over the weekend, we talked about the most probable scenario early on in the week, and we might have a chance to get down there with some extra info with those daily expected moves going into tomorrow. As implied volatility increases from today to tomorrow, it'll be a big deal because we have that FOMC, but we also have a bunch of earnings. AMD, we can go over that for a little bit. But overall, in this area, it seems that the bears are doing what they have to do, even though we saw a bullish thing, even though the bulls have taken back control. The bears are doing what they have to do to clamp down on this. So we're going to talk about the risky thing we could see in order to head down lower, but we're also going to focus on the most probable thing for this week, and we'll pay attention from there. So let's get into it. Now, what was the most probable thing we were mentioning over the weekend was some kind of 2-hour pullback. Now, the reason that we're saying the bears could have control is because you failed to make some kind of reversal signal with a new high, kind of telling you the direction they want to go, pull back into these type of events, and then see that thing curl up into next week. We will see if that's still going to take place because we have daily expected moves, right? We have daily expected moves of 566.32 to the upside and 551.28 to the downside. You'll notice what? That daily expected move is now taking you outside of the weekly expected move, and the most likely scenario for the weekend was to see some kind of pullback on the 2-hour, whether that was sideways or whether we were going to dip back down into the zone that we just broke out from to see that 2-hour be able to curl up into positive territory. Now, that is the most likely scenario, and that is playing out, but the way that it is playing out is a little bit more risky than you would like, right? You may go back a couple of videos and see us mentioning if you do something like this, this is the scenario to shoot you down lower. And if you keep experiencing those rejections, you can end up down towards 545 pretty quick. And that's going to be a big issue because you are giving up the majority of your zone that you just broke through. That is an overall bearish thing. So one thing to just keep on your radar, right, is if we end up down to here, watch for if we start to see rejections and break through these type of levels to take out this low, because that means we might need to revisit some things. We might be seeing some unknown or unpriced in things that we need to talk about. Once they actually come to fruition, it means that is where you have the opportunity to dip down to these type of levels, see that thing curl up, roll down to go test those lows, go test that bottom side monthly expected move. But let's just read into what is going on for the time being. If we see the 30-minute really looks like it wants to gear up, the sooner that this thing curls up, the better, in my opinion. If the 2 hours is able to get down to here, that's fine. We'll pay attention to this during the live show. But for tomorrow, we can see that continuation really looks like it wants to happen. If you include the extended hours, you will see we have made a new low, creating somewhat of a divergence. So this would mean, hey, what can we see going into tomorrow? Well, we got a hint, as in we saw this low broken in the futures. We'll have to see if that's able to be shown to us tomorrow. But if we actually see some kind of upside move, just be aware if we're taking out this high, that is a good sign. We can still get that pullback down to lower levels, and we'll be talking about the risk around there. But for the time being, we need to see if the 30-minute can gear up for an upward move, because the structure you are forming here as you break this low does tell you that, hey, it looks like we want to reach down to those lower prices. And one thing is for sure here. The market is looking for a reason to go up. The market is looking for a reason in this bullish area to go to the upside, but we're not getting the kind of news that you need to see, that people really want to see de-escalated. And what news would that be? You're not getting that solidified news on tariffs at all. You're not getting the de-escalation yet. We will see if that is to come soon, but if that never does come and we end up going down to 545, we need to be paying attention to if that starts to reject again, as we need to price more things in, as we start to see more tariffs on other things, right, over the weekend, movies and things like that. That might not be priced in. So be aware of that, but understand this is still in context of a 2-hour pullback. So if the 2-hour just curls down to that daily expected move and curls to the upside, we can see another push higher. I am running a bit low on time again, so I will be going over the Qs here. But one thing to note about the Qs is just looking at the reactions right now, say from something like AMD. AMD seeing that upside trading, I think it got all the way up to potentially even like past 105. That's very, very good. That is very, very good. Almost getting to that 106 level. Actually, I think it did get to the 106 level. That's kind of great. 106 on the dot for the high. So very, very good for AMD, but that you notice is not necessarily being the most help for the Qs. And this is what we're talking about here is you're getting these good news from earnings, but it's not necessarily the good news that we want, that the bulls would necessarily want in order to head in the upward direction. We're hoping to see changes on that, or at least momentum to tell us that something is coming by curling up on that 2 hour, because the most likely thing to start off the week was get some kind of move like this, right? Take out this high to show us, hey, we want to head higher, and then turn down to get that 2 hour to go down to the weekly expected move, or a test down here of the center of this block. And the reason that we're not saying that this is like, hey, yeah, we're definitely going higher and this is just a 2 hour pullback and you don't need to be aware of this at all, is because we did not go make that move to make this high to give you that hint of upside later on in the week. Instead, you make the lower high, which starts to add some bad things into the market. So right now, the most likely thing, hey, 2 hour pulls down to something like this, 473.39 or 473.75, your daily downside move to the upside. If we want some kind of upside trap, we want to try to say beat that high early and then see that thing rug or something like that, we'd be paying attention to 489.07 to the upside. So the reason that this is really bad is because it was able to take out this low. When you made the lower high, you were able to not even complete the cup, just come past that, get some kind of bounce, and don't you see that rolling starting. So as of right now, you've gotten no confirmation from the Qs on the 30-minute MACD. That is overall saying that the momentum is still pointing to the downside. We are rejecting again, turning down below the 5-day moving average, which just points a lot of the probabilities to this direction, even if we get that upside move first. Now, we'll look in these areas if price is holding up, because you really want price to hold up in those areas. But you see how we could create that divergence intraday if we see some kind of sporadic move to the upside as implied volatility is heightened. If we're going to see more of the same, then the most probable thing maybe plays out right now, which is you are going to get a 2 hour pullback down to that weekly expected move, and then it's going to be able to curl up into positive territory. That is the most probable thing at this point, with the understanding of this right here. If we break down and we see that start to reject, you have to be very worried or aware of the downside that can potentially come, because the bears have done some good work in here to show some weakness to the bulls, and we are yet to get any kind of good global, like good tariff news, good news from India, good news from China, de-escalation from China. We have seen none of it, even as Trump more and more times throughout the day tries to try to give people something positive to buy behind. It's shut down very, very quickly by his own mouth. Volatility geared up, ready to go. Volatility, 9-day volatility geared up as well. Really looking like, hey, I want to pop off, right? I want to curl up this daily chart. And we are at risk of that, right? We're still at risk of that. That's why I want you to pay very close attention to the price action from tomorrow. And we are going to be live in the morning, right? We'll be live in the morning on YouTube, and we'll be live in the afternoon for the close on YouTube as well. So we will be with you guys throughout the day tomorrow. And you'll notice that volatility was able to actually close above its 9-day moving average. That's kind of a big deal, because you notice this RSI, if we kind of blow it up, you're going to look at it and go, ooh, that is like one tick away from being able to curl up on the RSI. And that's what really can start things. But if we dig into volatility here and we see the 2 hour, it's really close to the center line. It's peeking its head into positive territory. This needs to fail pretty damn quickly. You need to start to see upside soon. I would say potentially tomorrow, because what you want is you want this to fail, come down to these levels, and then we might see that big volatility moment. So weirdly enough, you just have some weird things going on with the price action right now that is making the doors to downside, the doors to testing 510 especially, very, very open at this point. And a lot of this will tell us in the price action if the SPY is able to go down to 545. Looking at volatility for tomorrow, downside is the suggestion from volatility, able to form some good structure here, able to cross up here on the MACD, able to stay positive there on the RSI. So if this is able to break out, we could see this type of move, and we'll look out for divergences and stuff like that early on in the morning. But volatility is suggesting that it is about to continue to turn up, and therefore the SPY might be at risk of seeing these roll downs continue. And I just want you to be aware of that, because it does help you out a lot. I see a lot of people out there just saying, hey, if we go down to here, then we're going to do this. You can't tell that until the market proves that to you. So if you're hearing people talk about, oh, we're going to curl down to 545 and then go to all-time highs, you really need to understand that the price action will tell you if that is very, very probable. And right now, you don't have that price action. That is a guess. Just so you're aware of that. Now we can move forward and understand that tomorrow we'll pay attention to that price action to see if that is the most probable scenario after tomorrow's close. Something that is very worrisome for the market is the dollar still not getting that positivity. And this is what we were mentioning multiple times. Have we seen the type of news that we need? Well, we can kind of utilize the dollar here and suggest, like, hey, the dollar is not doing this, right? And then backing off to go higher. No, it's just staying lackluster and staying down at these low levels, getting that slight curl up on the MACD like it wants to go for another trend move down because the trend is overall negative right now. This is a good, easy way of just being like, have we seen any of that solidified good news? No. And what were we always talking about with the SPY when it got to here, right? When we were down here and we started to see this, we said, you need to see good news throughout this. And by good news, we meant good news on tariffs, the thing that's really causing this major disruption. Right now, you are seeing good news with earnings, potentially even tomorrow, good news with earnings. But if there is no kind of de-escalation here, then we are at serious risk. And so we are going to be paying attention to the price action in these areas and understand that the price action will really help us out in this time and understand what is the most probable for the entire week as of right now, with a good awareness of what could disrupt this most likely scenario and end up turning it to go down to those lower levels, down towards 510. All right, guys, I had to put this out there kind of quickly. I did take a thorough look at this. I wanted to wait to see that reaction from the earnings. We are noticing some downside for the SPY. Notice that the AMD going to 106 is not helping out the SPY right now. It's mainly because we are not seeing the good news that we need to actually see. You are getting good earnings with potentially bad guidance a lot of the time, or no guidance, which is not necessarily a good thing. So we'll pay attention to what's the most probable, the 2-hour pullback going down to something like 550. And then we'll pay attention to, if we go to deeper levels, if we start to get rejections from there, that can be a big deal down towards 545. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Thank you for liking and subscribing. I will be live tomorrow morning at the open. If you would like to join us, come join us. It's a lot of fun. We look at this stuff. We've been reading into price action pretty thoroughly here because I think it's very important. So you might even catch me looking at 5-minute charts for once, and it's been a lot of fun. It's actually very, very cool. And we even saw that rejection towards the end of the day to suggest, ooh, downside might be the option for tomorrow at some point. Thank you guys. Have a great day, and I will see you guys in the morning. Peace out.